Good morning, or actually, gosh, good afternoon. It is about 15:45, probably 16 UTC pretty soon. Going through the Monday Bitcoin update pretty quick here. So, on the schedule for data that points that are coming out this week, just big things to note. Powell is testifying before Congress in the U.S. After the market opens Tuesday and Wednesday through Thursday and Friday, effectively an hour before the market opens the New York session. It's supposed to be a little bit more volatility. We've got some inflation data, jobless claims, PPI, all that stuff coming in. So specifically to Bitcoin, from the weekend, we've had a pretty nice aggressive amount of retail shorting. We're still majority, long versus short. It's still about 1.5 on that scale. We definitely want to see more general shorting if we want to see much higher, but the local stuff looks actually pretty good. We've created some bottoming structure on Bitcoin, and there's the potential for a nice move up back to 100K, 102, and even 104 if we get some mid time frame relief from this downside. On the funding rate side, relatively neutral. Nothing too crazy to say. BitMEX back at 0.01. Across the board, looks fine, looks neutral, nothing too crazy. On the liquidation side, we've had that nice little grab of local liquidity from the weekend. The higher time frame liquidity here is very simple. If we do start moving up to touch the liquidity back at 104K, I would say if we do that first and now, we probably then come much lower in the overall price action before if we lose the low now, I think we don't go as deep as grabbing the sub 90K liquidations that are still in place. On the heat map side, there's not a whole lot to say, really. It's relatively tame. There's some good plunge protection down below us from 90K to 92. And then above us, we've got some stuff stepping in at 99.1 up to 100.9, almost 101K. This looks a little bit fake to me, but both of these things are kind of in place as guardrails for the local price action. And you've seen some local breakdown. So if we're going to do some type of regain here, obviously we want to start regaining 97.5, 98K pretty aggressively, and then start grabbing into this liquidity to the downside. But you get some local, very low time frame downside pressure from the open. Looking at the order book, liquidity delta aggregated for both spot and perpetuals. So spot, yes, we had a lot of downside sell pressure earlier this morning, as well as on the perpetual side. That has flipped ever since the New York Stock Exchange opened up. And we're seeing some pretty aggressive liquidity to the upside at the same time as retail is starting to locally short this. So this is good. We want to see some local gains, some local holds, some really good gains of level. It's a bit early, nothing too crazy on the spot side, nothing too crazy on the perpetual side. If we do have a much deeper drive, lower towards, especially effectively what we did over the weekend, then I'd be a little bit more bullish that we get a pop back to the upside. So with that, going over to the chart, main thing here is from the weekend structure, the one thing that sticks out the most is we had a local low at 95.6. We actually grabbed the liquidity from the local weekend volume. That grab was actually pretty nice, 1.7, 1.8%. So we've effectively taken the majority of the 100x and 50x leverage below us, which is nice. Realistically, where's the leverage liquidity left? It's way below us. It's under 95K, under 94.5. There's no real long liquidations to take until we go much lower towards 92 or something like that. In the local price action structure, it actually looks really good. We've had pretty good step offs on the 4 hour. We're seeing some resistance at the previous weekly at 97.7. Any gain at 97.7, I'd expect we actually start expanding back towards 100K. So effectively gain this, you go back to the upside. You've got local downside pressure. That should bring us back towards the weekly open at 96.5, where we have the weekly open and the December level. We can go lower than this. We can go back down to the lows. We cannot break it, close, and then lose it again because that invalidates a potential upside drive. So if we start losing the weekly open to December, be a little tentative. But my expectation is that even if we go all the way to the downside, we're looking for regains to go back up. I like the idea of grabbing the liquidations at 101, going back even to 102 or even 104, at least in the mid frame. The higher time frame is, well, there's a lot of liquidations sub 90K. I think that there's an eventual case where we do have a big, nasty final flush out that grabs the sub 80 stuff. But in the local price action, you've got some local resistance building at 97.7. Any gain of that should take you back towards 100K. And then any loss of the 95.6K is likely the move that breaks you back down towards 94.5, 93.5, and then potentially down to 92. So besides that, local, very, very low time frame. Yep, you've seen some local failure, some local 1 hour failure to come back lower. There's some good stuff to test below you with some local structure failure in general, but you can flip that really easily. Be very, very quick to switch if we start gaining that back. But that's about it. Take it easy, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.